Good afternoon, everybody. So we just got finished with our work day, and now we're gonna start freezing some corn for our freezer. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. We get a lot of questions on market is like how to freeze cabbage, how to freeze broccoli, how to freeze sweet corn. So we didn't get into freezing anything else, but this is the first thing we're freezing so far this year, which is sweet corn. So I'm gonna show you guys how to freeze it properly so that it'll last in your freezer for years. And then when you pull it out in a couple years, it'll taste just like it did when you put it in. All right, so the first step of the process is obviously shucking the sweet corn. And then once you get the husk off, you want to get as many of the little hairs off as you can. You don't have to get all of them. So then once that's done, we place it in the bin. And then here's my dad and my pap. They're cutting it off the cob. They're trying to get as much of the corn off as they can without cutting the cob at all, because you don't want that hard cob in your corn. And then he takes the back of the knife and squeezes all that juice left in the cob out into the tray. And then he just throws the cob on the ground and the dogs lick him.
Stacy, she's having a ball.
Alright, so now we got the corn cut off the cob. We're ready to put it into the pot. Now before we put it in, we wanted to put a little bit of water on the bottom, kind of like a ½ inch, just so the corn doesn't scorch to the bottom and burn. Don't spill any.
Look at the vacuum cleaners are getting it.
Mom, you got it.
I can't see.
It's a little harder
Dad's got it.
than it looks.
Look at you're doing my legs.
Alright, so now that we got the corn in the pot, we'll keep stirring it so that it doesn't stick to the bottom until it comes to a boil. And then after it boils for 3 minutes, we'll take it off. Alright, so now that the corn is done boiling for 3 minutes, we can take it straight off our burner. And you need to have water mixed with ice so you can cool down the corn as fast as possible until it's ready to bag. Alright, so now that we got our corn in the cold ice water, we'll let it sit in here and we'll keep stirring the corn until it gets to about room temperature. And then once it's down to temperature, we're going to take it out and start bagging it. Alright, so now that the corn is cooled down, we're ready to start bagging. We bag our corn in quart Ziploc bags, but you can do them in whatever size you would like. This is just what suits our family. And then we usually label them, that way we know when they're from. But this will last for years and years. It only usually lasts us a year because we eat it all, but it could last you up to 2-3 years. And it'll still taste like the day you bagged it. That's pretty much it for this video. When you're boiling the corn, if you wanted to, you could add butter or sugar or salt, but we usually don't. Especially when you use fresh corn, that's good. You usually don't have to add anything because it already has so much flavor, but it's all personal preference. I will have in the description below how to do everything step by step again if you didn't understand everything quite right. And this works for any amount of corn. You could do anywhere from 5 to 500 years, just as long as you have the right size pot and you can let it get it up to temperature and boil for 3 minutes. It doesn't really matter. You can do as much as you'd like. So after you get them bagged, we usually put them in a cookie sheet and then bring them down into our freezer. Once they're frozen, you can pretty much do whatever you want with them. They'll be hard as a rock and they're nice and flat, so you can store a lot of them in your freezer and it doesn't take up much room. And then you're gonna have them for years to come, unless you eat them like us within a couple months up to a year. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next one, and always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.